Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Behind the Screens podcast. I believe this is our fourth installment. We've had an excellent flurry of guests so far, and well, it keeps on getting better. It's myself, Sir Pigasus, and today I'm joined alongside Rocket Yota. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, honestly. I appreciate you guys inviting me.
Well, I've just got a few things listed here about your recent escapades here in the Rocket League space. I feel like your climb has been monumental. I know myself, I've been in the Rocket League community for quite some time and active on Twitter. One day you just kind of showed up and all your content just started booming. I'm wondering, is that something that you felt yourself? Do you feel like you've had quite a fast rise?
Honestly, I feel like it was a pretty slow start at the beginning. I had the right
Mm.
vision of what I wanted to do. It just needed to get a little bit of traction. And then one day I woke up and I had a video with a few 100,000 views, and then here we are. So, yeah, I'd say it's a pretty sudden rise, yeah.
And do you know what that video was, that moment? Well, to be clear, of course, you are a content creator, plenty of content on many socials. Would I be right in saying that YouTube is the main one?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
YouTube is sort of my main channel these days. It used to be Twitch, actually. I used to stream
Mm,
daily, and one day I just decided, you know
daily.
what? Yeah, daily, every day. I had a pretty hectic job. I'd fly around the world, and I bring my laptop, I bring my camera, and at every airport check, they were like, "Oh, here comes one of those people." And yeah, I was I was one of those people. So yeah, lots of hotel streaming.
I'm wondering, what was that first video that you remember doing different numbers to the rest and thinking, "Oh wait, this is exciting. This could get somewhere now. I think I've cracked something."
Well, for me, the first ever video to do well was pretty early on, I'd say. It was Ground versus Aerial Freestylers Part 1. I did a part 2 of
Ah,
that.
of course.
I'm not ashamed to admit that. I did a part 2. I learned a lot since making that first video. And then it slowed down a little bit. And I think the first actual video that did really well after that was Freestylers from every platform. And from there on, it's been insane.
That is actually a video I've got listed on my notes here, and I feel
Really?
like you will understand the reason why later when I mention it. But whilst we're on the topic of talking about those beginnings, first of all, I've got two questions here. Is the first video on YouTube the first video you ever made? Second, do you know what that video is?
It is not the first video I've ever made.
Ooh,
I used to have a channel, and it wasn't anything gaming related. I used to look a little bit different. I had longer hair, I had piercings, still got tattoos.
oh, yeah.
But I had a little bit of a daily vlog channel thingy that I used to do. And after that, I had a different channel that was into Call of Duty because I did play like I'd say some like low, it's not really professional, but like some low semi-pro tournaments and stuff. And I used to be
Wow.
pretty good at Call of Duty, and well, then Rocket League came, and here we are.
And what was that? Was that an active transition when you were going between these channels? Was it because you wanted to try something new, or was it that you would have a little bit of space between them where you just got that itch again to start making content?
Well, there was quite a bit of time in between. I
Hmm.
think a few years even. I was busy with work, and I was busy with my professional career, and I got into Rocket League in late 2020, early 2021, and I saw all this content on the game, and the more I watched it, the more I realized, whoa, this is, dare I say, pretty still. There's a lot of repeat content, and I originally first actually started working with a content creator, writing in video IDs,
Wow.
finding participants, and I did that for like 2 years. And then last year, I was like, you know what? If I do it for this person, I can do it myself.
Hmm. Oh, fair enough. And I actually have listed here your total views on your channel as listed by YouTube. So I'm hoping that that's going to be a reliable source. And it's quite funny because we were, I believe, going to schedule this podcast initially for a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And in my notes, I have it written as 2.997 million views. And I've just looked to see if that stayed relatively close. And I can tell you, you have not only broken past that 3 million mark, you are now on 3.2. So in that
Wow.
time, you have gone up uh, over 200,000 views in that short space of time. So if you want to talk about the momentum of the channel, that is something that's there. As well, I have you listed down here as having 29,500 subs. I'm sure you are aware you've not only broken past 30,000, you're on 30.8. So that is 1.3k subs in a very short space of time, I would say here. So when we want to talk about that growth you're getting and the momentum you found yourself on, it is extremely impressive that it has made my notes out of date so fast in that regard. And I have to ask, just how do you do it, especially in Rocket League? Because Rocket League, it's definitely been one of those games that has had its criticisms recently, let's just say, in terms of how easy it is to make content around it and the variety and the likes.
Yeah. I think the main thing that makes my channel successful is I wouldn't say it's super original content, but I try to do different stuff than what's out there.
Mhm,
My
mhm.
main focus is always, even if a video is less original ID wise, I always try to make up new challenges, get new people, and give it a new twist. Honestly, I think that along with the quality that my amazing team puts down is what makes my channel what it is today.
And yeah, you can tell that the production quality of your videos are, I mean, absolutely insane. For Rocket League especially, I mean, I've watched a couple of the videos. I mean, it's just incredible. The thumbnails as well are amazing. I'm sure that's something you get a lot of. I actually downloaded your pack that you posted on Twitter a couple of
Really?
months back. So that's actually, yeah,
Awesome.
something I've got on my computer somewhere. And I'm just curious, how big is your team? What sectors do you have people for? And how was it like building that? Because when you do reach out, you get more members in, you become a bit more, of a workforce. It's less individual. There are definitely the businessy sides of it, which I'm not asking you to get into whatsoever. I'm more on terms of the ease of it and how it was like getting to that point.
To get to this point has been a journey. Let's just put it that
Hmm.
way. I originally started off with the idea, hey, I'm going to do these videos myself. I'm going to edit them. I've got over 10 years of editing experience, so should be
Oh.
easy. But I was also working full time. I just didn't have a lot of time, and I did want to get at least at the beginning like bi-weekly content out. So every 2 weeks, I want to get like at least a video out. And I realized they're pretty intense. So I was like, all right,
Mm.
shoot. Um, I work a lot. I got the money. What am I gonna do? Am I gonna outsource it? Am I gonna do it myself? And that was something I'd never really done up until that point. So it was a little bit daunting to start. So I did what every sensible person would do, and I opened Fiverr, right? That's the first thing everybody does. If you need somebody, you
Mhm.
open up
Of course.
Fiverr. And that's exactly what I did. And I found a listing for Rocket League editing. And it was very coincidental timing because at that exact moment of me looking, it was just posted. Like this guy had never posted anything before, it was just
Mm.
there. I was like, all right, I'll check it out. I'll shoot a message. Hey, do you want to edit for me? I'm a pretty new channel. I got like what, 50 subs or something. I had like practically no subs. And he was like, sure. And I was like, okay, what is your price? And he named a ridiculously low number. I was like, oh boy. This is either going to be a really great start of our relationship together, or it's going to be a really bumpy ride.
Mhm.
Um, Turned out he was a student in filmmaking. This was his first ever gig. He'd never done something like that before. We worked out the price. We upped it a little bit because I was like, dude, this is just a ridiculous price.
Mhm.
He was very happy to get started, and that's how I found my first ever editor. Um, I did want to make sure in the beginning, like, hey, I want to have good intros. I want to have a good main video, and everything just needs to be good quality.
Mhm.
When you're just starting out, that's tough, and especially with a very, very junior editor, I figured I'm gonna need somebody to do these intros for me because I want flashy, like cinematics. I want all of it there, and that's just not gonna happen. I'm not gonna bother this guy with that. I'm not gonna expect that from him. So I'm gonna find a second team member. So we're already expanding our team. We're only on day zero.
Mhm.
Um, so I go on Fiverr once again, and I look for montage editors. And I come across this guy called Arrow. And Arrow, up until this day, still works for me. And so that's a year and a few months. So he's managed to stick around. But I messaged this guy. I was like, hey, I've got a crazy proposition for you. I see you do montages. You're pretty good at it. You've got the 3D FX down. You do all of that stuff brilliantly. Have you ever considered doing intros? And he was like, oh my God, what you mean intros? To explain the whole sort of situation to him. He was like, you know what? I was bored of doing montages anyway. I'll give it a go. And well, and we're still working together. He had like a 2 month break from working for me, and then he came back. So I guess we're doing something right together.
And
So
everything seems just very deliberate with everything you do. It seems like you are very calculated in this kind of stuff. You said, of course, you had a history yourself in editing. Did that come in the form of a degree? Was that just a little side hobby you did, or?
just sort of a side hobby that grew
Mhm.
out to be more than I wanted it to be originally. Um, the way it translates down to my content today, because those were just the first two people I found. My team
Mhm.
is way bigger now. I got full-time editor. I got two full-time intro guys. I got a manager. I got a thumbnail guy, and I got a production assistant. I built a whole team around it. I treat this like a company.
Mhm.
For me, it is also sort of like a company, right? I mean, I produce content. I have side projects going on with it. I've got passive income from it. To me, this is pretty much a company at this point. Um, and to get that started, the only way to get started in that is to treat it like one. Like from the get
Mhm.
go, it's like, this is what I'm going to do. This is where I want to end up. And every step along the way, I need to make sure I do this, that, and all the other things. And hopefully it goes right. And it's going all right. It's doing pretty well.
I mean, there's just so many focuses everywhere. Even the logo, I think, is just perfection in terms of its brandability. We can see on your mic as well. I know that's something that I personally, when I was starting out, was really focused on. I mean, this bright blitzing pink I've had has stuck with me for actually a couple years now, even way before as a caster, but knew eventually I wanted to enter into the online space sometime, somehow, and it just happened to be that casting found me. Why is it Rocket League, the game that you chose to dedicate so much into? Because you're saying here, day zero, you wanted to build a team, you wanted to make online content. Rocket League has that bit of a reputation, like I briefly mentioned before, and we're going to get into a lot more a bit later. What made you invest that much into this game?
That might tie a little bit into a different question, which is why I even started
Oh,
playing Rocket League. And I
go
don't
on.
know if that's a question for later on, if I need to save that story, or
No,
if
we'll run it now. We'll run it now.
all right, so it's peak COVID, and I'm still playing Call of Duty and doing all that and doing the tournaments and trolling around a little bit on the game because I was getting slightly bored of it. And I meet a guy online, and he's like, "Listen, Yota, I've got this community. You should really join it." I was like, "Oh, really hate being social. And he was like, "Ah, come on, it'll be fun. It will be fun." I was like, "Okay, all right. I'll hop in." And it took some convincing because I'll be straight up about it. I'm not always a social person. I can be, but got my moments where I just want to chill, you know.
Yeah,
And
100%.
yeah, so I did join that community, and in there was a different guy. And there was a meeting because there was a management thing. It sounded all very professional and over the top, which it was. Wasn't quite my cup of tea, but you know, I was there for fun. And during one of the meetings, there was a guy called Suited. Now, Suited 69, beautiful name, love it to this day. He
Of
played
course.
a silly little game called Rocket League.
Mhm.
Now, he was like, Yota, listen, feel like click, feel like we can be friends. How about I teach you Rocket League? I was thinking Rocket League, Rocket League, Rocket League. I've heard that name before. And then I thought back to 2017 when I originally first installed Rocket League. I bought it in 2017, installed it. My first ever game. It was on Urban Central, I believe, and it was up against
Wow.
a Smurf. It was a Smurf. I had no clue what a Smurf was back then. I didn't know how to front flip. And the first thing in 2017 that I see is a guy doing a ceiling shot, which is something I now know to be in 2017 was quite impressive.
Mhm.
But at the time, I didn't know that. All I knew was there's a ball, there's a car, and I have to drive into the ball somehow. Needless to say, I got beat pretty bad in that game, and I never touched it again until that fateful night in 2020 in the peak pandemic. Now, I said, all right, I'll try Rocket League. Only if you teach me. I will not touch it otherwise because I've had a pretty bad experience with it before. And he
Mhm.
was like, don't worry about it. So the next week, for about 10 hours a day, I was on Discord in a call learning Rocket League and talking about life and getting to know the other guy. And he's now my best friend. It's now my best friend, and he has been for well since 2020, so almost 5 years now. And yeah, he got me into Rocket League. I quit playing Call of Duty altogether, and I've
Mhm.
never really stopped playing Rocket League.
Whilst you mention it, have you bought the most recent Call of Duty game that's just come out?
I got Game Pass
Ah,
because
of course. Yeah.
there's quite some games on there. I'm like, for the amount of money I pay per year, um, you know. And I
Mhm.
installed it, I played it, and let's just say I'm happy I play Rocket League these days. It's it's just
I
it's just so
used this is yeah, I used to
uh,
be part of a cycle that I think a lot of British teenage boys were in, where it was Call of Duty and FIFA would be all I'd play. The cycle would come out every like September or so. A new game for both of those would come out, and then I would just cycle back and forth between them when I got bored with the other. But Rocket League was the game to break my cycle eventually, and I actually got into that because of a YouTuber who doesn't even play Rocket League. He did a one-off. It's called the Gaming Lemon, and he makes like funtages, he calls them, where he just does video game funny moments. And he made a one-off video one day on Rocket League, and I asked for it for my birthday, which happened to be upcoming, and now it's kind of everything in my life. So that's
it's
quite an
crazy how that
interesting
goes,
turn of
right?
events. Yeah, I mean, it just lots of these stories just seem like it doesn't make sense. But
It's funny.
eventually we get into points. But of course, it is the game we love. It's the game we stick with now. But not everyone stays on the Rocket League train, and I'm going to move us over to talk about points given by another content creator who was in the Rocket League space. I don't know if
Mhm.
you're aware of the content creator Speech, who posted out his retirement video from Rocket League content, August 18th, 2024. For those who don't know at home, I mean, honestly, I feel like I actually got rid of all his videos, which I'm really sad about. But he used to make Rocket League montage, not even montages. What can you even call it? I mean, it was so unique. It would be like a major would come out, a qualifier would happen, and he would just kind of make fun of it. He called it a meme rewind, right?
Yeah, the meme rewind.
Incredible content. Incredible content at the time. He tried to move over, did some more like journalistic stuff, like talking about some dark areas of the Rocket League community. I think it's fair to
Sadly, yeah.
say. Yeah, but that came to an end with his video posted August 18th, 2024. And whilst we've got a content creator here who is doing really well, I wanted to try and use this opportunity to discuss some of the points he brought up in the video, and either you could say whether you agree with it, disagree with it to an extent, and how you tackle it as someone who is doing really well at the moment. Well, we've just had a little bit of a cut there. As you can see, we had some Discord audio dying. I mean, typical Discord, isn't it? But we are back, and it was just before we were going to go on to what can be quite a tense point here. We were talking about, of course, Speech's retirement. We were speaking about some of the points that he's put here, which I've got in chronological order to the video, and I wanted to hear your opinions, Yota, on some of these points. So the first one I've got listed here is that no good content is added / just taken away. Of course, pointing towards trading as his big point of that video. Of course, more recently, we've had the boost meter be added for teammates to see, which is quite a huge update. And I can imagine as a content creator, a very helpful update has been the website and easier access to replays. Last 30 replays or last 30 days, something along those lines, which I'm sure is helpful for you. What is your opinion on just overall the general content space when it comes to Rocket League themselves as support with it?
That's an interesting one. First of all, I know Speech. Speech is a pretty good guy. He's a nice guy. Sad to see him go from Rocket League. He had some good content, as you
Yeah,
said before.
I'm sad as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. He was a very outspoken person in the community, but he was a good guy. And sad to see him go. I get him. I think Speech has been in the community for a very, very long time. Both as initially just a player, later on as a content creator. I think he's been doing Rocket League content for 2-3 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Definitely he's seen it all. And this is where sort of I feel like my opinion might differ from the majority of the Rocket League community. I'm pretty new. I'm officially post free to play. So I haven't really gone through everything that most players have gone through, right? I haven't gone through the upsets. I haven't gone through Epic ruining it at all by making it free to play and adding all these like crazy things and removing crates and
Oh.
all that stuff, right? Touching some strings here, probably. Crates were a big thing, I know. They used to be big in Rocket League. I've never sadly really been a part of that. But yeah, I think that's why my opinion might differ. I just came in super late, both as a player and as a content creator. Yes, Rocket League is in a tough spot. Yeah, there's been some more than questionable decisions, like removing trading, which in my initial videos I used to use a lot. I gave away a lot of credit prizes. Now, would I say that therefore Rocket League is dead and the developers are not supporting it? No. I think Rocket League is like the troubled child in a family. Needs a little bit of love. And there's a lot of emotions going around it. But I definitely feel like Rocket League is starting to go in a more healthy trajectory. As you said, we had the boost meters being added. We had the replay save feature. It saves like 20 replays and it's super useful. I forget to save my replays all the time, which as a content creator is not very useful. But Rocket League saves my arse these days. It used to be Small where it had like the autosave feature from like a plugin. Now it does it natively and it's a little bit more reliable than the plugin. So I'm pretty happy with that. And there's so many other small things that people don't even think about anymore. Like, they upped the minimum level to play ranked. They finally fixed it where if one player is the required level, usually everybody could just play ranked
Oh
then, so
my
you can get your
goodness.
level 1 Smurf in. They fixed that too, which is pretty
I
good.
can't believe that was a thing.
I neither can I. We won't talk about the fact that it's been in the game for like 9 years, but they fixed it. It only took them 9 years. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and there's so many other small things that are currently happening to Rocket League that I feel like are a positive impact. There's also
Mhm.
things that are questionable. Something. A lot of news in the esports recently
Yes.
about
Mhm.
yeah. So it's not like I'm totally worry free, but I feel like Rocket League won't die out anytime soon, and I feel like
Yeah.
it is not as dead as people think.
I have always been of the belief, and I truly think this. I think Rocket League, for the most part, is an unkillable game. I genuinely don't see it completely being wiped out until those servers stop because it is so niche, because those skills are not transferable, and because I think actually as a new player, I still think it's quite an exciting game to play because it's so different. Yet again, there's nothing like it. Like if an FPS game goes out of fashion, there's another FPS game you can play. If a battle royale goes out of fashion, not that I'm saying Fortnite's ever going to go out of fashion, but we remember the days of H1Z1, PUBG, which not quite as relevant anymore. Let's just say you'll move on to a new battle royale. But there's just something about Rocket League. Like me personally, I don't see it ever falling away, but I can definitely see when there are dips, when there are highs, when we're on a lower trajectory and there is a floor that we can hit. I don't think we can go below it, but it definitely makes it harder for the likes of orgs, which we'll move on to later, sadly, and of course, content creators like yourself. And speaking of content, one of the things he mentioned, he was talking about the content creator space in the video. I'm trying to give himself as much credit as possible here. He said that content is, and I put in quotation marks, all too similar, to which I do also want to say he specified himself is not to the fault of content creators. It was more of a jab to the likes of Epic, Psyonix, whoever you want to blame for not adding anything since he posted 2021, which is post free to play era. So content cannot keep up. How is that for yourself as a content creator who I must say posts quite often as well? How do you battle that personally?
Well, there's a few things I can say about.
Mhm.
Um,
And do you agree, of course, that content is all too similar?
it is. I
Mhm.
do agree. Content is all too similar. Um, I don't think it is fully Epic slash Bionic's fault. It's also not
Okay,
fully the creator's fault. Let's point that out.
of course, yeah.
Um, Rocket League players and the YouTube audience for Rocket League videos is simple, and that is not to jab at any Rocket League players. Anybody watching, this is not a jab at you,
Mhm.
but simple IDs work.
Mhm.
What I found out, the more unique a piece of content is, the more you get punished as a creator. Why? The nicher you
Mhm.
get, the less people click on it.
Yes.
And I'll see it on my videos even where people are like, "Oh my god, this is so unique. Like I've never seen this before." And the video gets 10,000 views or 20,000. Then I
Mhm.
do an ID like freestylers from every platform. And I don't want to say it's a simple ID. I looked it up at that point. It had not been done before. But the concept to its core is very, very, very simplistic. It doesn't evolve a whole lot. It is just straight to the point. Hey, every platform is freestylers. Go look at them freestyle. And it
Mhm.
blows up. And it is every time with every ID. And I talk a lot with other creators, right? And I want to point out Sledge, for example. Sledge is a good friend. I respect him a lot, and he helps me every once in a while with videos. And he says the same thing. The Rocket League audience likes what it knows. And I
Mhm.
guess there's no real fault in that. I mean, if you play the same game for 9 years, that hasn't changed over those 9 years, you're probably a person that likes comfortable stuff that you know. Otherwise,
Mhm.
you wouldn't be playing Rocket League anymore. Um, However, that does impact creators as well. and I reckon every
Yes.
creator's been there where they're like, I want to do this very original thing, but I know it's going to flop, so I'm just going to do
Mhm.
something else instead.
That's so interesting because if you listen to podcasts in quite literally any community, I feel like there are a lot of people saying the same thing that you said there. That overall, the YouTube algorithm, or maybe the audience, whatever you want to put the blame to, new stuff is so hard to create. People take ideas off each other and improve it. And I think also it's hard to pioneer something. One, because of the risk, like you mentioned there. Two, because it's something new and the audience won't quite know what to expect. Third, you've got no ideas to improve. If it's a completely new idea and you are the first person doing it, chances are it's going to be a little bit rough around the edges. There are going to be some things there that haven't quite been seen. If I want to talk about actually new things that I think are amazing, the Apex tournaments right now, I think that is just uh, insane. That is truly something new added to the community, and I really hope that when the time comes, that does extremely well.
I'm rooting for it, honestly.
And
I'm rooting
I'm
for it.
rooting for it so hard. It is so unbelievably unique. I'm interested when this will come out and what stage the Apex will be on at that point. I know it's had the odd few that dropout, of course, from the World Cup, but I feel like that's been. I mean, personally, I'm just going to say I think that's been a bit overblown. I think it's still going to be an insane event, and I don't think that matters all too much. Someone wants to represent their country, but
And
yeah, that's
I
that's
mean,
a tangent
yeah, and you know what
in
the thing
itself.
is? It
Yeah,
even negative publicity is publicity, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I feel like it's only going to do the tournament well. So
yeah, I think so as well. To be completely honest, I feel like there'll be some people that probably didn't hear about this Apex tournament, been like, why would so and so not play in this tournament? And then they will go out and research this tournament and be like, whoa, this isn't freebie free. What is this? And I think they'll be very surprised. So again, I got my big fingers crossed that this is going to create some kind of shift here. I know that you have your way with map making, creating maps. There's a certain project that is part of my notes that I will mention later, but I know that there's probably a lot you are not ready to say yet, which we will respect as well when that time comes. But I think we'll move on to the next point here in Speech's video. I've got two left just to say. This one is saying that Epic spend too much effort pandering to Fortnite. Of course, a lot of that focusing on Rocket Racing, which recently announced, but they're discontinuing. I want to say it was season specific campaign updates. So they are still having updates, but they're not going to be seasonal and as focused as they were before. So they're just taking a bit of the manpower off that. And of course, Rocket Racing was a UE5 project that has left us wondering if that was the UE5 project or test that didn't even land itself in Rocket League. What do you think about Epic spending too much effort pandering to Fortnite? It's definitely something that I've been thinking of, especially with the esports scene, where I feel like they're making a few decisions, which you can tell kind of copied and pasted from Fortnite and things that is what were criticized about Fortnite that they've decided to bring over. And I know I personally have my issues with that. There was a time before where I really threw this idea aside, but with some recent announcements has definitely brought that more to light to me.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I agree. Honestly, straight up, I just
Mhm.
agree. I think a lot of time and energy goes into their love child, which is Fortnite. And
Yes.
that brings me back, funnily enough, to Rocket League being the trouble child in this marriage. And
Mhm.
sadly, a lot of resources have been allocated to Fortnite and Rocket Racing,
Yeah, of
which
course.
I've said this from the beginning. I know everybody was excited about Rocket Racing, and they were like, "Oh my god, this is great." I don't know if you've ever played Asphalt on your phone. Like, it's a
I have.
mobile racer, and it feels really janky, but it's on mobile, so you don't care. Rocket Racing felt like an exact clone of that, and I rest my case. It was horrible. I just didn't
Yeah.
like it. So yeah, sadly, not always Epic doing the right things when it
Yeah.
comes to Rocket League.
Yeah, I'd agree. I feel like the only things that I've seen, the kind of Rocket League Fortnite crossover stuff do that I personally thought were pretty cool is adding the Octane to the game. I feel like, whether that was to promote Rocket Racing, I'm hoping that just some trickled into Rocket League after that. And for me, the coolest thing they did was where they made that map where you can watch the RLCS World Championship in the game. For me personally, that was so cool. But also, I got hurt a little bit by it as well, because what's the one thing we've been asking for in Rocket League is an esports page. And they kind of did it in Fortnite, but it was kind of cool. So I'll let it slide. And actually, RLCS is the next topic, and actually something I was going to ask you a little bit earlier in this podcast was you went to the World Championship, didn't you? And you're someone who likes their lands. How was that? So, I mean, watching from home, it looked incredible.
It was something else. How much we'd like to hate on Rocket League as a community,
Hmm.
we're also a very passionate community.
Of course,
And
of
that
course.
passion seeps through in everything you see, be it watching from home, be it being at one of these events where I've had the best atmosphere I've ever seen in like any event.
Yes.
There's just a lot of passion, and going to a LAN, meeting all these other creators. I was lucky enough. I think I've got it.
Oh.
I was lucky enough to get this badge, the influencer badge. So
Oh,
I
yes.
was I was sitting up there with all the cool people, all the people that came before me in content, and it was a very humbling and a very inspiring experience to be there. Meet all these
Mhm.
people, meet all the creators that have done content before me and are way bigger than me and are way cooler than me. But no, it was
Not in
just
my
great.
opinion. The
No,
coolest kid
it
around,
was
I'd say.
awesome. It was awesome.
Am I correct in saying you reside in the Netherlands? Is
I
that is
do,
that
yeah.
correct? Yes. So I mean, you want to talk about passion? You sent yourself all the way up to Fort Worth to watch all of that. I can imagine that was difficult, but I personally love the Netherlands myself. I've got family that live there, so it's my
Oh,
place to go to. Actually, whenever I leave the country, I go visit my
very
family in the
nice.
Netherlands. I don't know if one of DSQ's owners, Mr. Tavish, is also Dutch himself,
Really?
and yeah, yeah. So hopefully you can feel somewhat at home here as well for that reason too. But like I said, world is amazing. I feel like I've always said this. We are so pessimistic until a major happens. We're so pessimistic before the major, then the major happens, and you just realize that this is the beautiful game in terms of esports. I love it so much, which leads me on to the next point that speech said, which I personally disagree with. Um, and I think that's evident from what he said. He said that RLCS has lost its soul and was more fun when, in quotes, pros didn't have uh, perfect mechs for every ball they go for. I'm interested what that point is like for you. I personally definitely not on the side for that. I do miss the desk. I will say seeing old clips of the desk back in league play times, that was something special. I would say that is definitely a big loss, but overall I think the game's a game, and it's amazing. So I'm wondering what your point is to that, and has RLCS lost something? What has it gained as well for you
Honestly,
as a fan?
I see. The thing is, I love RLCS. I
Hmm.
love everything about it. I was at Fort Worth, and
Hmm.
right before that, they had the Fortnite World Championship, and a
Yes.
lot of people that went to that also went to RLCS.
Hmm.
And the one thing I've been hearing consistently, well, there's two things, but the major thing that I've been hearing consistently is like the atmosphere compared to Fortnite and Rocket League is day and night. Rocket League
Hmm.
is so much more involved with the game, so much more interesting to watch, and that alone should say that it's not entirely true that RLCS has lost their vibe.
Hmm.
To get to the point where he's like every ball is perfect and it has to be perfect because the pro players are so extremely good. I
Hmm.
want to go back to the final game this
Yeah,
year.
I knew that was coming.
I rest my
We
case.
all
I
knew that
rest
was
my
coming.
case.
Yeah.
So,
To be
yeah,
fair to
no,
him, that hadn't happened yet. To be fair
true,
to him, that
true,
had not
true, true,
happened
true.
yet. But I think that ended up being very telling. And that G2 Falcons Grand Final for the London Major as well, that definitely had its. I mean,
Yep.
oh, that BDS game. Do you remember? Was it BDS Gentlemates where at the London Major and BDS looked
Oh, yeah, I
really
remember.
bad.
Yep.
That
They
was
look
the
really shoddy, yep.
with all due respect, it was the worst series of Rocket League I think I'd ever watched. If you've also factor the stage of the series and the two teams that were playing, that was something interesting. But also, I do want to point out that Speech is saying this in the direction of a content creator as well. So, that's definitely our opinions as fans. But I'm wondering for yourself personally, what is how much of a factor is RLCSU as a content creator? I know that for a lot of your stuff, it's very freestyler based, but there's the odd video. I'll scroll now. 3 months ago, RLCS Pro versus Pro Freestyler, Pro versus Prime Zen, which I understand was a Zen bot. I actually watched that video. I very much enjoyed it. What's your opinion of RLCS's involvement with the content space?
I think as a content creator, I really love pro players. I do. I think they're awesome. They're incredibly good at the game, and they're a very big part of what makes Rocket League Rocket League. The downside is, and this ties back into the whole debate that's going on right now. A lot of pro players don't have / aren't being given the time to developing content. Which translates into if you ever ask a pro to do content, there's a very big chance they say no. And that's fair. And I respect that. They have very strict schedules, and basically what they do is they play Rocket League all the time. They have to be playing because if they're not improving, and if they're not improving, contracts, blah 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 blah.
Yes.
But it also kind of sucks because as I said, I love like pro players. I love having them in videos. I love seeing them whiff. I mean, I've had pro players in my videos that whiff plenty of times, and I think that kind of keeps it human. It keeps these insanely good players just a person, and that is sadly not always achievable with content these days because they're not being given the chance to.
And I want to briefly mention as well, there's been a discussion for a very long time now when it comes to the relationship between orgs and players. Certain orgs wanting to make content mandatory for their players, whether it's for their organization channels or if they'll be more likely to sign the player, of course, if they make content themselves. Do you think that's something that should be the case? You think we should be actively promoting / enforcing, in a way, players to be making content, or do you think that is unnecessary or unrelated to you, of course, which is an answer?
Um, it is related to me as a content creator,
Hmm.
especially as somebody who's involved with RLCS quite a lot. Um, I think there's not a content creator out there in Rocket League that doesn't want to be signed to an org as a content creator. Simple.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like it is part an amazing thing to do, but also part something that we should be apprehensive with. Um,
Hmm.
a lot of players are young, very young.
Hmm.
Making content is definitely something I'd say is better to undertake, especially when you already have a lot of stress in your life at a later stage in life. Um, Being a pro is stressful enough. I know how stressful being a content creator can be. Um, it is definitely a case of like, hey, is it responsible to expect this 15, maybe now even 13, because they did lower the age, 13-year-old to make, consistent content, and to require him to stream every day and interact with people and add that extra stress on top? Or should we look at these creators that are already out there and get them
Hmm.
involved with the org and use them instead? I do agree there needs to be more content for orgs, period. It's just how.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Oof. I think that brings us in circles yet again, doesn't it? How is Rocket League providing content? How is RLCS providing the opportunity for outside content? And it's funny that I feel like the person we're talking about right now actually brought in a lot of content completely based on RLCS, with of course the meme rewinds, which I thought were amazing. But those are the last of my points. Talking about Speech's retirement, I think we can end this off with saying that he of course has his own experience. He made fantastic content. I enjoyed it very much, and I hope he does well in his future endeavors. But there are still kids on the block, and Yota, his takeover will continue. And speaking of content, you do a lot of it, a lot of very highly produced, very I say professional in terms of its quality, but it's so fun as well that it's not, when something gets a bit too professional and loses a bit of soul. Yours has retained that, I would say myself, from watching it, which is full credits to yourself. These are probably some stats that might be a little bit outdated because, like I said, you are just seemingly growing so fast. You've got the likes of Twitch with 3.6k followers. You've got your Twitter or your X, depending on what you want to call it, with just over 1K. You broke 1.1K recently, which was made May 2023, by the way, which again, very fast movements there. You've got a TikTok with 4K followers and 26.5K total likes at the time of writing these, of which you are posting once every other day, is what I was observing. Something along those lines.
TikTok is sort of my I do whatever I want with it. I don't really post that
Yeah.
often. I more so use it to say hi to people who stream, and that's it.
Yes, and you also repost those TikToks on Shorts. I'm interested to hear about your relationship with short form content, because a lot of what you do is longer form. Of course, YouTube. Even back in the day when you were streaming a lot more, like daily, like you said, that's a lot more longer form. We're here on a podcast, longer form. Do you find short form content a challenge? Do you enjoy doing it? What is your general relationship with the likes of TikTok and Shorts, and how much do you think it helps you as well as a content creator?
I think I'm the only odd one out when I say this. I don't understand short form. A lot of creators these days grow by doing short form and using all that to gain a following. I'm 25. I grew up on watching long form YouTube and not
Yes.
the great quality that we see today. I mean, I'm talking about content creators like Filthy Frank. I'm talking about
Oh,
Smosh. I'm talking
what a
about
reference.
OG PewDiePie. That's what I grew up
Mhm.
on. There were skits, there was fun stuff. That was YouTube for me. It was long form, and
Yes.
that's what I know and what I live and breathe, and I've known it for years. And then short form came around, and it kind of messed a whole lot up for the creator space because even to this day, there's people that are like, "Oh, you got 30K. Oh, all right, that's pretty good. Oh, wait, you do long form. Oh, shoot, that's actually really good." I'm like, "Yeah, well, yeah, I just don't get short form. Sorry."
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel that to an extent with TikTok. I mean, I remember when I first was watching YouTube quite often. I would say when I first got into it, it was watching the Diamond Minecart, Dan TDM, do
Oh yeah.
his Minecraft Let's Plays, and specifically, I'm going to shout out a series, the Diamond Dimensions, of which he would upload
Oh my god.
daily, 1 hour long, completely unedited, just gameplay clips. There would be minutes where he wouldn't say anything,
Yep.
and some episodes he literally did nothing the entire time, and I lapped that up. I watched it so much. I was actually late to it as well, so there was a big backlog. I'd watched them all in a row. I would just sit in my room doing that. My mum had to ban me from watching video game YouTubers because she said that it was a waste of time. And then eventually she realized that that's just kind of life now, and
It do be.
that became the case. But I cannot imagine myself doing that nowadays. I feel like the only properly long form content I can watch now is a certain YouTuber called Pyrocynical, who I'm sure some people will be very aware of. I love watching his 7 hour, 8 hour videos on random niche video games and movies and stuff like that. Other than that, my phone time on TikTok is absolutely ridiculous. It is a disgusting high amount, and I feel like it has. I feel like the joke is brain rotted the viewers of it. I've certainly felt that effect as the years have gone by. I don't know what it's like to you. Do you consume a lot of short form content yourself?
Oh yeah, I do. Way more than I am proud to admit. I think there's hours on a day that I'll watch TikTok, and then there's like a few minutes a day that I actually watch YouTube. When I watch YouTube, I make sure it's quality content, but most of the day I'm scrolling away on TikTok and looking at all these silly videos. And yeah, no, I definitely feel like short form has worsened us as humanity. I'd say we've all gone downhill
Yes.
since short form.
Yeah, I am looking here to try and get a guess of what my somewhat daily average is on short form, and I am proud to say it's gone down, but it is still
Wow,
hovering around the hour mark. Oh goodness. I'm
an
not even awake
hour.
that
Oh,
much. An hour. It's at 40 minutes right now. But I know that there have been moments. It has been a lot higher. I mean, lockdown, I won't count that. Those times were very rough. But that was life back then. But back onto the more longer form content than the 30 seconds or so expected from TikTok. You've of course got your YouTube videos. I wanted to say that it's either weekly or fortnightly. I believe
it is every
weekly.
Tuesday. Yeah,
Every
every
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
it's weekly now. Yes, yes, and like I said, very high quality, very quick turnaround. I can imagine with quite a lot of these, you've got to be continuously working, and I know that you personally are a very busy person like me, which is why it's a miracle that our schedules lined up for this podcast, and we're very glad to have you here. What is that like being a weekly content creator who does have so much effort in their videos? It includes organizing people, but like you have to manage your whole business, like you said before, your team. What is the stress like having 1 week be that time frame you've chosen alongside your roughly post every 2 days on TikTok reposted to shorts and the like?
It's tough. It's definitely more work than people realize. And
Mhm.
um, first of all, massive shout out to my team. Um, Arrow, Leo, Fuzero, and most importantly, I couldn't do any of this without Sta. Sta is now my full-time video editor. And also Sir Classy, shout out to him as well because
Oh, I love so
yeah,
classy.
yeah, me and Classy have done quite a few videos together. And that's also how I know Sta, actually. Sta is Classy's junior, and I kind of stole him away, and Sta is now my full-time editor. A massive shout out to them. I couldn't do this without them. Massive shout out to my manager as well, Dav. Dav is a great guy, and he helps me manage my content all the time. Um, but yeah, it's a full time job. As you said, I got
Mhm.
the whole team, and most people tend to think, oh well, Yota, you got a team, so you record a video, that's it, and you don't have to do anything else, right?
Yeah.
Wrong, wrong. I write a script, I record a video, I make sure I find the people, and I make sure that once it's all done, I go in a meeting with my editors and go like, hey guys, this is what I want, this is how it should look. Go start edit, write the scripts for the intros as well. So I give them like, hey, this is the text, this is the intro. I want these visuals. I want you to do this there and that there. And then it all comes together to be one big thing. And if there's revisions needed, I will do those revision
Mhm.
sessions. Um, then there's also managing socials. I think a big part that people tend to forget is being a creator means you have to be social, and you have to
Yeah.
interact with content, and you basically have to feed yourself content from other creators all day long.
Mhm.
Um, because otherwise, you're never going to make connections. And it's managing a community. Do have a very very active, vibrant Discord, which I'm very proud of. We're a very safe space, and I got a very good moderation team that is being led by my head admin, Ray. She takes care of everything, make sure that it's all good in there, and yeah, there's just a lot that comes with it, and on top of that, I also edit myself still. Once the video's done, if there's small things I don't like, I will edit those myself. Just add those in. I'll add little memes in sometimes, or make small changes, or I'll change an audio around. So I stay pretty involved with my own content, and yeah, it's just busy. It's busy. It's a full-time job.
And that's without talking about some of the background projects that you're working on as well, not just talking about those YouTube videos. And of course, with these efforts, you do get some big hitters, which I do want to talk about after a very short cut. I'll be back in a second. Lots of work, a couple big hitters as well. I mean, you spend lots of time on some of these videos. Some of them really do well. Of course, I want to bring up your top three. But first of all, we're going to turn this into a little game. What are your top three videos? How well do you know your own channel? And what order do you think they are in as well?
Ooh, is it
A little bit of a
right
challenge after the
now?
break.
Yeah, no.
Right
Is
now.
it like
Right
right
now.
now? Okay, because it might have been overtaken. My
hmm
biggest video used to be freestylers from every platform at 430K views.
hmm
Um, but every type of freestyler has recently been really close to beating it, so it
hmm
might have overtaken the number one spot by now. Like
hmm
2 days ago, it was 1,000 views off. So I don't really know. It's gonna depend. But the original order was gonna be freestyles from every platform, every type of freestyler, and I believe it is. Hmm. Third one, I actually. Ooh.
Ooh. I'm going
Third.
to also say you have only three video. This might help you. You only have three videos to break 300K on your channel. Fourth place is sitting on 218K. So there's a bit of a gap there between third and fourth. So if there's just any video that you remember really standing out, maybe that might give you a bit of a hint there.
Yes, of course. I know very well what the number three spot is now.
Do you
I
want me to break it to you?
no. I'm gonna put my official
Okay.
guess in.
I like this. I like this.
I think it is. Um, no, it's not that one. I'm gonna throw in ground. No, that's at 150-ish K. No, I really don't know what my number three. Oh, I do. It is um casual versus ranked freestylers.
Correct. It is competitive versus casual freestylers on 300K.
Oh,
Just another side note.
whew.
Another side note. Ground versus aerial freestylers is in fifth place. In between them is controller versus KBM freestylers, sitting on 220. I do just want to also say, you said that ground versus aerial freestylers was on 150K. It's on 196 now, so that is a video that has been growing. And funny you mentioned that there was a potential overtake in your top two. We know that it's every type of freestyler or freestylers from every platform who's the best. When I wrote my notes, your most popular video was Freestyler from every platform with 427K views. In that time, it's gained 5K and been overtaken. You're correct. Every type of freestyler
Yes.
who's the best has taken that title by 2K. It's
Wow,
on
that's a lot of views.
434K now. Well, you're saying that's a lot of views. I mean, from 427 to 432K for that video, as I originally listed it, that's quite a bit of a climb as well. So both videos doing well, but this every type of freestyler video is making new waves. Let's just say, and it was quite funny because a lot of my points are about freestylers from every platform. There is an incident in that video which got a lot of
Oh,
comment attention, and I will say that as a viewer myself, I was thinking the exact same thing. I clicked on that video expecting to see a certain man who did not show up. Do you remember seeing all of those comments at the time? By the way, you handled it so well. The video's hilarious, where you replace the Switch player.
Yeah. A lot of love for Toby. I've never seen him after that video. Don't know what happened to Toby. So if you're watching this,
Oh, Toby
Toby,
wasn't the name I was thinking either. Wow.
no, wow,
Wow,
no,
no, it wasn't.
Toby is the new Switch player that I got into that.
Oh,
Yeah, because
wow.
we were supposed to have KN in, and KN
Yes.
is
That's the
he's
player I was expecting. I'm good friends
yeah,
with Kayan actually. He plays
really.
underneath. Yeah, he plays alongside. Oh my gosh, he's gonna get a shout out and he's gonna go crazy about it. There's a guy called CMAT06, um, who plays for an organization that I'm part of the management of called Team Serene, and he teamed alongside
Mm,
KN. So I've
wow.
casted KN a bunch of times actually, and I know him decently well. So that's who I was expecting clicking onto those videos. I know
Fair
you actually
enough.
did
Yeah.
eventually get him on, I believe, in a later video where, again, you posted something about Switch, and I was like, I better click this and see my man KN. And you did. But of course, sorry, yourself, Toby, and KN. You
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
continue.
yeah, 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 yeah. Lots of love for KN, great player.
Mhm.
He overslept. He just overslept for that video. I tried to
Yeah.
reach him. I had everyone ready. The video recording was horrible for me. It was like one of the messiest recordings I had up until that
Wow.
point. It's a theme. Whenever a video recording
Yes.
is rough, they usually get more views. So I mean, these days I'd rather have a rough recording than like a good but no, it was just a rough one. I tried to get it to work, and it was just tough, and the ending was a little bit tough.
Mhm.
I didn't expect it to do as well as it did. Especially with
Mm.
Toby being in there. Like literally just I messaged in my Discord server, hey, this guy didn't show up. I need somebody on Switch that can freestyle, and this guy called Toby messages me. I had like a few hundred members
Yeah.
in my Discord at that time, right? And he messages me, Yota, I can do it. I'm plat and I can flip reset. And I'm like, you're in.
That's enough.
You're in.
That's
You're
enough.
in. Yep. Nothing else. You're in. And yeah, he had no idea what he was getting into. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a great video. Honestly, I implore everyone, if there's one video that I really recommend to go watch in Yota's channel, it's freestylers from every platform because I mean the players on the big three do hit some incredible clips as well. But also there's just that added fun side, isn't it, with Toby, who, like I said,
Yeah.
I love very much. I believe KN as well, the play you offered, is the highest ranked Switch player of all time. I believe his peak no one on that platform has ever reached. And I have watched him freestyle. I've watched him play. I've cast him so many times. The fact he's on, I think his Switch does 60 FPS.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely mental. And
Yeah.
have you tried like I don't even know if he, clips it on the thing or has a pro controller or something. Switch controllers are not easy to use. Not even the pro controllers. They are,
No.
dare I say, horrific as someone who's tried to use them many times just for,
Yeah.
more
They're
casual
ridiculously
games like
priced
Mario
too.
Kart. Oh yeah, expensive. So honestly, fair play to him. I mean, give that man a PC one day and he will be absolutely immense. But part of me wants him to stay on Switch forever because I feel like it's quite funny now at this point that he can be so good. But you gave me a brief idea there. I was going to ask, when you finished every type of freestylers from every platform, competitive versus casual, your big three, your post 300Ks now, do you ever get a sense that this video is going to do well at the end of your recording? Is there any ideas at all at that stage, or is it just so I'm going to have to see the edit and find out? Do you ever get that feeling that something's going to perform very well, or not as much?
My spider senses do tingle every once in a while.
Mhm.
And that's also when I realize fiction isn't real life, and I'm not Spider-Man because I'm running every freaking time. Um, I'll think a video does really well, and it will be the worst video I've uploaded all month, and then I upload a video, and I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, this one, I don't know about this one, and all of a sudden I get 500K. So
Mhm.
there's always a guess if it's always accurate.
Mhm.
We'll leave that up to the people.
And of course, talking about videos and how they perform, I'm wondering how much of an effect has on you as a content creator personally. I mean, I see your tweets from November 12th, which is luckily mentioned in my notes as well, so you can say I've been looking at something. You got a 2 out of 10 on a video and posted after 2 months of 10 out of 10 hell. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, a very light-hearted post, I would say. But I'm wondering, what was it like back at home in the Yota household? What kind of effect does things like statistics and, like, of course, the coveted YouTube out of 10 page, what does that have on you?
Um, it was a very light-hearted post with
Good.
a bit of a deeper meaning. Um,
Oh, okay. Interesting.
it's 2024, and I think mental health is a very important subject. I'm a very big supporter of men's mental health,
Absolutely.
especially because yeah, especially because I suffer from mental health. I mean, mental
Mm,
health is something that is not always it's tough sometimes. Let's just put it that way.
mhm,
And content for me is something that I put a lot of time and effort into, and it is expected that there's ups and downs. Every channel has this, and it is just it's just how things go. But I was coming from a really high into a pretty deep low, with like 18-20K views, which still sounds like a lot. But I
mhm.
do this full time, right? So
Yes, of course.
even though I
This
enjoy
is
it very
your living.
much, it is a business. Yeah, I have people I need to pay. I've got bills I need to pay. It's just how these things go.
Mhm,
Um, it takes a toll on your mental health. It aside from your existing issues, it adds a little bit of extra pressure. And
yeah.
I think I'm not the only content creator out there that is safe to say that being a creator can be a very lonely, scary,
Mhm,
and daring endeavor. And when
mhm,
it goes bad, it can take a toll on your mental health. Yeah.
mhm. And, this is something that I feel like I actually empathize with slightly. Of course, I'm not a content creator. I'm a caster by trade. I'm not full-time. I'm here at university at the moment, the University of Lancaster, studying mathematics. But I'm wondering if this is something you also relate to here. I put a lot of value into myself as a caster, and my performances as well have a big effect on me. Like for you, it is organizing a video, sending it out, and having to see if people like it. For me, I like to think it more like a bit of a stage performance. If anything, you go out there, you go live, and you try to put on a show. And sometimes you feel like you haven't put on the best show, or you get a very good opportunity, you feel like you didn't do it the full justice, or you have highs as well alongside that. But I can say for myself, the lows feel really low when that happens. For me, it's definitely a lot more instant. So I'm wondering what the difference is about for you. Like for me, it'll be I finish a cast. I personally don't think I did that well. Other people might think I did well, but it's all your own opinion by that point. I might think I didn't do too well, and it can literally be one moment I stuttered a bit too long, and that will throw me off for quite some time. And then you end the recording, you leave the production call, and I'm just at my desk. And when you were talking about the loneliness of the online space, that really hit me because it's those moments for myself who gets a pretty instant response based on, I've just finished a cast, leaving that production call and just sitting there alone to think, I wasted this resource, this time of myself, and I put so much value into myself as a caster as well. It's very tough, and I think it's something that's not really spoken about. I would say enough. I believe yesterday was Men's Mental Health Day. I don't know if that's regional specific, but
It was
that's definitely something I saw around.
yeah, it was just International Men's Day, I think.
Yes, International
Um
Men's Day. That's correct.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Seen a lot around that.
Yeah, yeah, stuff that I don't want to get into personally that I've seen around that. Let's just
Neither.
say Twitter's not a very happy place right now. I think we
Oof.
can happily
Yeah,
say that was, if anything, worse of a day for those reasons. But
yeah.
I feel like that it is important that people realize that, you're humans, and I'm wondering for yourself as well. I spoke about myself, of course, having the it's not instant feedback, but knowing when I'm finished, I don't have to wait for an edit or the likes of that. For you, I feel like it has a chance to be a bit more slow burning. Is there a state where you realize that? Are you just like constantly checking the analytics of a video? Is there a time you're pinged with something? I wouldn't know. I'm not a YouTube creator and you see it. Is it comments? Is it the likes of that? What are the times where you feel that challenge? Is it a slow burn? Is there ever like just kind of an instant moment or a certain time frame that's common where you could feel that, say, a video hasn't performed how you'd like?
It's pretty slow.
Mhm.
First of all, I have to go into that recording. It can be a bad day. It can be a
Yes.
factor of things. People can't show up. I might be just having a bad mental day.
Yeah.
Somebody else might be having a bad mental day. Or something happens in a recording. And a very good example is don't know how much I can say about this, but I was recording one of my videos, and
Mm.
somebody had a family emergency where a family member actually
Yes.
sadly passed away,
Yeah.
and that had never happened to me before. But it's
Mhm.
something that it happens. Life happens. You do these recordings, and it's all online and fun, but life happens. And
Mhm.
be it a bad recording, be there an emergency in a recording, be it just a bad day or something not working with equipment. Um, it is sort of the start of a very slow process that makes a whole week pretty tough because you're gonna then
Yeah.
have to send that out to your editors anyway because it's a 1 week turnaround. You can't really do a new video, and something has to be posted, right? So you send it out and you get it back and you do the reviews and you have to watch at the
Mhm.
footage that there's stuff that didn't go well or there's stuff where you didn't perform well, and you're going to have to post it eventually and people are going to see it. So you hope it turns out good.
Mhm.
Um, and then once it's posted and everything's done for it, and you already feel a little bit unhappy because there's just things that I could have done better as a person for this
Mhm.
video. And it then performs bad. Yeah, I'd say like a whole week can be stressful if a recording that takes maybe an hour or two is rough. I think a whole week can be stressful.
Mhm.
And it's not to say my whole week is ruined and I'm depressed all week because of a recording.
Yeah.
But it does add extra stress on top of
Yeah.
your stuff you already struggle with, right? So it's tough sometimes. It's definitely a slow burn for when you do YouTube content.
Mm. Yeah, that I mean, that all is something I can very much relate with. Even though I'm not full time, I'd consider myself a full time student. But I spend I joke an unhealthy amount of my free time dedicated to the online space and casting. But I feel like you kind of have to in a way to get somewhere nowadays, and I feel like that's a big part of it. It is very hard putting a lot of that value on yourself, but of course, I for me personally, I would say it comes with its highs as well. But it can make a bad day can make a bad cast can make a bad day. That's what I've always said,
Yep.
and I'm sure that can uh, translate as well over to content creation as well. So I feel like overall, be nice to people on the internet sometimes, especially if they do a lot of stuff you can't see. And I feel like that very much applies to yourself as well. You mentioned it before. You do have a team. You do have people that help you, but ultimately you're still working pretty on the clock, constantly on something. And it is for you especially, it's your living. This is, uh how you get through life, personally. So yeah, be nice on online people, and I feel like this was a really good conversation to have, and I just want to thank you personally for being so raw about that here on something that is going to be posted eventually. Either way, thank you very much.
Yeah, no
Your
problem.
choice whether to cut this. Your choice, Fred, whether to cut this or not. By the way, if it stays in, Fred's our lovely producer. We love Fred. We love Fred.
Say hi to Fred and be nice to Fred.
Say hi to Fred. If we've learned anything from this conversation, Yota, you
Let's
don't
be
see him on
nice.
screen. Fred does so much. Be nice to Fred over here at DSQ. He's with us every single time. And I want to talk about now some of the more positives. You get to
Yeah.
work on a lot of cool things. One of which as well, I saw that there was a certain update to Alpha Console and nameplates of the likes of which I believe you posted having some kind of conversations or
Yeah.
somewhat of a saying. I'm curious to hear about that. I mean, that's actually between our two scheduled dates, so I've got nothing listed about that.
That's all
It's
good. No,
all
yeah.
raw.
No, I think in January, I had a video ID and I wanted to bring some new custom content to Rocket, right?
Mhm.
Rocket League is not known for having like extremely extensive update history when it comes to new content aside from bundles that are overpriced. No
Yeah,
jab
yeah,
at Rocket League whatsoever, but they have gotten quite expensive this year.
yeah.
But
Oh my goodness.
yeah, it's I don't know if you've seen the Porsche one. It's
I
30
don't know how
bucks, I
much it
believe.
is.
I believe it's 30 or something, 25 or 30 bucks. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Oh,
I,
and I thought that
I
was a cool collab.
yeah, it is really cool, and I really like it, and it's really nice, but it's also really expensive.
Oh my, oh
Um,
my goodness. Do you remember
but
the showroom? Oh, that is that. Ooh, that might be before your time. You're post free to play, right? But you had the game beforehand. So the Batmobile and the Dominus were DLC cars when
mhm,
they like first came out. Which is insane to think the Dominus was a DLC car, by the way.
yeah,
There
yeah,
was a thing called the showroom, and it's how you bought these DLC cars, and they were like I want to say £1.79 for each of the car bodies, and they
wow,
came with their own decals and boosts sometimes to be
mhm,
clear. Um, but you could customize certain things a lot less as well back then. So to go back now and see Lightning McQueen and real life cars going for ridiculous amounts, it does
yeah,
hurt me a bit after remembering the showroom that used to exist in the game. And I think that's just one of the you just had to be there moments. So yeah, I mean, Dominus was a pay to win car. That's also a thing that to think about
ridiculous.
back in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that was one you had to buy from the bundle. I believe I had the game on disc because it wasn't free to play and you had to buy it, and that actually came with the DLC as a part of the purchase, as a code I put
wow,
into my Xbox. Things that new Rocket League people will just never ever know about. So yeah, and I love to see the likes of Alpha Console and Bacchus Mod get all this love for custom designs. I mean, I
yeah,
saw the custom design that you got very recently. I've got a decal myself as well. When you mentioned Fiverr earlier, I was thinking back to my lovely guy of Fiverr who did my decal personally. And yeah, your decal looks great, by the way. And I'm happy that
appreciate it.
you were there to help around with some of the custom stuff. I've seen the ball as well, which
Yeah,
you use in a
yeah,
lot of your videos as well.
definitely.
It's all beautiful, but you've got more ambitious projects, let's just say, than decals and nameplates. I saw a mention
Just
at the time of oh, sorry, go on.
just real quick, I didn't really answer the question yet. Do
Oh,
you want
sorry,
me
sorry,
to? No,
sorry.
you're all good.
Oh,
No,
yeah, yeah.
I just we kind of went on a bit of a tangent where it was like, oh,
Oh,
stuff and all
I get
that.
lost all the honestly, I get lost all the time, Yota. Lost all
Oh,
the
good.
time.
No, no. I just wondered if you still
Let's go.
wanted me to, or like
Oh,
if you just want to move on.
absolutely, because I think this will move on quite nicely.
Yeah. All right. Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. We'll have a little bit of a cut here. We'll have like a Star Wars transition
big,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah, a little transition, Mr. Fred.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, so
I
obviously
think
we did have all those cool things in Rocket League before I was around, sadly. But yeah, I did work with GLH, which
Mm,
is currently the sole owner of Alpha Console, I believe.
wow, I didn't know he
Um
was Soul.
yeah, a lot of
Cool.
stuff happened with Alpha Console, and there's a whole rich history behind it, which I love about Rocket League. Everything is a rich history. It's been around for 9 years, going on to 10. It's just a very historyful game. But anywho, um, I wanted something new in the game, and one of the things I thought about was custom goal explosions, which apparently already were in the game at some point, like way
Yeah.
before I was there, and custom demo explosions. I was like, how cool would it be
Oh,
if you demo
yes.
someone and it says nice save, or what a save, or just something funny, like what a
Yeah.
save. You get demoed and you see that in your behind, and you're like,
Nice demo.
yeah, nice demo, something like that.
Yes.
um so I went on a little bit of a search. I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, and I ended up with Hurricane. And Hurricane had done custom goal explosions, one of the first people to ever do it. But
Mhm.
very sadly, a lot happened with Alpha Console, which involved some stuff I don't know if I can even share here. But the
Okay,
team that
that's fair.
originally created Alpha Console fell apart.
Mhm.
Um, and it was already a passion project, and after 2020, it just kind of died out. So
Yes.
GOH ended up being the sole owner of Alpha Console and doing everything solo. And he's a family man. He's got a job and a family to support. So lots of love to him. Anywho, Hurricane told me, hey, I know the guy who makes Alpha Console. We can chat to him if you want. Like we can see if we can make something work. I was like, sure. So ended up with GOH, and my original ID was against TOS apparently.
Oh,
Because yeah, custom demo explosions are not something I think TOS allow. It's a little bit vague. But we ended up,
not even in private matches? Not even in private matches,
I,
or because I
well,
know there are certain features you can't use in public lobbies, like you can't use custom cars in public lobbies and stuff like that, which
yeah.
makes sense. But
I mean, I don't know. It's months
mhm.
ago at this point. This is a very long project. Um, Anywho, the logistics ended up being that it wasn't really feasible, but we did keep talking. And I'm a big car guy. Um, so I was like, hey, there's some other cool ideas I got. If you want to listen. And he was like, sure. So massive props to him. He did listen, and not too short after, he started working on all the cool ideas I had and all the cool ideas he had, because he'd been planning on doing a 2.0 for a very long time. Just needed some time for it. And yeah, here we are. Now we have Kember and the license plates and the creator charms, which I'm very happy about.
Yes,
Originally, I wanted to get those out with like a big bundle for all the creators out there. But time and stuff. And it's just sometimes tough, but we ended up getting a whole lot of new cool stuff, and a whole lot of new cool stuff that GOH came up with himself as well. So
mhm.
massive shout out to him, and to Alpha Console in general. I think it's one of the few things that make Rocket League unique.
I would agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't think there's. I mean, realistically, what Rocket League has is a skin bot, which lots of other games just simply do not allow. It's bannable in CS, Val, any
Do you
other
want to
video
know a
game you can
secret?
really think of. Go on.
Um, when I was at RLCS in the VIP area, you look down on all the
Oh,
computers
okay.
going on. Um, RLCS uses Bacchus mod and Alpha Console, so
They do
so
indeed. Yeah, it's insane
yeah,
that that's just like a normal thing here. And I can imagine business-wise, it's not a great thing. To be completely honest, I can imagine business-wise, it's not great, but I love it, and I
yeah.
feel like it's helped the community a lot that it exists. Whether it's helped the pockets or Silex is left to be questioned, but I think it's definitely helped the community. I've got a good friend
Definitely.
who's very good at making decals as well. Shout out Dan Capicado. Be sure to check him out. So those are going to be my mentions for decal people. But Rocket League cars are okay. Also, we're moving on to a point where I know there's a lot of unreleased. So if you slip up, we'll get rid of it. And also, if we can't go into it at all, call it off. But big event cars are whole maps, whole projects, and recently, October 24th, just about a month ago, you introduced Rocket Survivor on the Salty Islands map, which appears to be a huge project that you're working on, a short YouTube series, a speedrun challenge, absolutely everything you could ask for in the form of this big project. And I was just going to ask you, is there if you wanted to use this moment to give it a bit more hype, because I felt like this was too exciting, too big to not give yourself a moment here on the podcast to say whatever you like and can about it, basically.
Yeah, so Rocket Survivor. Honestly, I first came into contact with custom maps when I did a video with creators. I had them race around on like Mario Kart-esque maps, and it was really fun. And around that same time, I got a message from Jamaican Coconuts, who's another creator who many
Yes.
of you will know. He's a pretty big creator out there, and I've watched him grow over the years. Very proud of him for doing that. Anyway, he messaged me because Durfal, who was in the NRG challenge, had an ID and he didn't really know how to realize it. And he had originally messaged Coconut, who then said, "Well, I know this guy who might be crazy enough to do it." And that ended up being me. And I wanted to do a custom map project at that time because I really enjoyed all these custom maps and I was wanting to do something anyway. And then the idea came around of adding Survivor into Rocket League. Now, I wanted to do a project with creators that was in the likes of Survivor anyway. Um, so this was perfect. I was like, sure. I like the concept. I'm going to see what I can do. Now, around that time, I also met Mr. Swaggles, who a lot of you will also know. He's one of, if not the most active map makers in the map making community. Anywho, I wanted to do a custom map project myself anyway, and
Mhm,
I met Mr. Swaggles around that time. And this is like November, December 2023. So this is like a while ago.
mhm.
And I got the idea from Durfal, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it and see how this goes. Started working on it and started getting people involved, started getting Swaggles involved. And he's now for the past year almost been working very diligently on the map. So it's been in the works for quite a while. With times of not a lot of work on it and a lot of work on it. It's just been a bit of an on and off project. But yeah, lots of energy went into that and lots of work went into that. And the goal is to eventually have a rings map that will be a speedrun challenge for
Yes.
the community. And Plumato also reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, it's the speedrun community for Rocket League. I'll help you out when that comes." So that was
Mhm.
awesome. And yeah, I just want to have people be able to explore the full map, fly around it, do all that cool stuff, have a bit of a challenge, have a bit of a prize to that, and then also release the YouTube series. Now, the YouTube series is
Oh,
something that's going to be interesting.
yes.
We're creating different versions of the map with different challenges. And basically, we're staying as truthful to or Survivor as we can. So we have challenges from the actual TV show translated into Rocket League, which was quite a bit of work. And
Yes, I can imagine.
yeah, and the goal is to get as many celebrities in Rocket League to star in that show as possible.
Mhm.
So I want to get Musty. I want to get all the big boys,
Yes.
and I want them on that map, and I want them to make plans, and I want them to scheme against each other and betray each other and make packs and do all that cool stuff whilst playing silly Rocket League. You know,
Yeah.
end of the day, it's still Rocket League, but it'll be so much fun, and it will be I called it a mini show. I'm thinking like it will be like 4 or 5 YouTube videos that are going to be 30 minutes long each. It's going to be pretty long, but it's
Oh, here
just
we
something
go.
that I've been working on, and I really want to get
Yes.
out there. And recording will be next year, so this is a multi-year project at this point.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
That is insane. I mean, just hearing it already, I think it's incredible. We want to talk about coming up with new ideas in the content creator space. Wow. And it sounds like you got a nice team there as well. I saw some very nice replies as well to your original tweet. So I hope that well, you guys again, the Yota YouTube, the Yota Twitter as well, in case there are any further updates. But I won't push you to do any of those. Be excited because that project looks immense from a distance. And I think we are reaching the later stages now of this podcast. And I felt like if I was going to have a content creator here who is very into his freestyling, of course, with a lot of your content videos, I'm going to ask you a question based on the title of your most viewed video at the moment. There are many, many types of freestyling. Yota, which one is the best in your opinion?
ooh, that is
Ooh.
a tricky question. I've always really liked ground freestyle,
Hmm.
Eventpool, and later on also people like Ruby,
Yes.
Universe, Atlas, and all these cool people that are currently like on the rise and coming out, and even newer people because like between Eventpool and the people I just mentioned, there's a whole new generation coming up with people like Harburger and oh god, so many people, Zekron, and all these cool people that are doing a style that used to be pretty much unknown slash dead like a few
Yes.
years ago. Um, I think ground is my favorite. It's also the only
Yeah.
style I do myself.
It's the one that being 100% honest, I expected you to say. I tried your tutorial video of the cartwheel.
Oh,
Wasn't going great for myself, but I don't think I spent enough time on it. I'll get back in the booth and maybe one day I'll be able to pull it off. I've seen your TikTok as well. Plenty of collabs with Ruby, actually, who's a very big name, especially on the TikTok space. And
yeah.
I just think it's absolutely insane. Me personally, it's something I love to try, but I feel like when you first get the game, you always just want to be in the sky, and you don't realize how sick it actually can be on the ground as well. Which I'm actually really loving. That I feel like ground freestyling, in my opinion, from someone who's not involved with the freestyler scene at all, I feel like it's having a bit of a rise. I feel like I hear about it a lot more nowadays, and it isn't just a Vampel anymore, which for I feel like a lot more casual freestyle enjoyers like myself, that felt like it was the case for quite some time. So of course, credits to all those people. And yeah, if anyone wants to learn how to do a cartwheel, go onto Yota's Twitter, and you might be a lot more successful than I was. But
Well, if you do eventually hit it, I'll gladly expect a clip from you. That's all I'm saying.
oh, absolutely! If I pull it off, that's going straight on Twitter. You're getting the tag, and I'll say
Good.
thank you very much, Yota, for teaching me a new mechanic. And I'll see if I can pull it off in 1500. I won't. I won't. There's no way. I can barely win in 1500 in the first place. But this has been an incredible podcast. This is our fourth episode, and I feel like this one was a really good one. We've got a very competitive streak going on, which means in the future, dare I say, when we hit double digits, we're going to have a lot to try and match up with here. I'm hoping we haven't peaked too soon because honestly, it was great having you on here, Yota.
It was great being here. I really appreciate the opportunity and getting to know you guys and getting to talk about what I love anyway. So it's just a nice little chat sesh for me, and I really enjoyed it. So
And I know, of course, that we want to thank the people at home as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you got this far, we were talking about short form content. Honestly, it's a miracle if you made it so far in. And I hope that you've seen the odd clip every now and again as well, because I feel like we had some very important conversations. And I know that Yota wanted to use some time here at the end of the podcast to address the people at home as well. So I'll just give you that space.
yes, first of all, as I said, massive shout out to the beautiful people of the podcast that had me in here. And I wanted to give away a piece of merch, something from me
Oh.
to the people that watch the podcast, exclusively to you guys. So how you can get that, I'll leave up to the podcast itself. It can be through their socials. It can be through watching and commenting something on this video, whatever it's going to be. But I will give away that one piece of merch and I will sign it as well.
If you want to be in with a chance to win some Rocket Yota merchandise, like and repost the tweet on X announcing this giveaway, and of course, comment on the podcast episode with your handle. Winners will be announced on the 16th of December, a little early Christmas treat for one of you guys out there. Good luck, have fun, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Whatever that is, ladies and gentlemen, it either popped up on screen or you've seen it posted on Twitter somewhere. And also, thank you very much for the generosity there, Yota. This has been an incredible podcast. This is, of course, we are here with DSQ, so I want to thank the people at DSQ as well for giving us this platform. This was Behind the Screens episode 4. Thank you so much to Fred as well, our lovely producer, and one final thank you to Yota as well. We're actually shout off all your socials very quickly. Let's get this out there as well.
Yeah, YouTube, Twitch, all the socials, whatever you're on, even the Blue app. If you search Rocket Yota or Yota, you will 100% find me. So
there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Follow him on absolutely everything. It's been myself, Sir Pigasus, which again, it's just Sir Pigasus on every single social, should I have it. Thank you so much for watching. This was DSQ Behind the Screens with the wonderful Rocket Yota. Goodbye.